Coming to a station near you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Hey.
How y'all doing?
Doing
Excellent.
good. What's good? What's good, Hollywood?
Every, everything is good. We got a bunch of views on here already.
Oh
100,
wow. I get to
100
talk to
people
the people
watching.
tonight.
105 people already. Let's go. That's just on
Okay.
the intro. We got to get some news out here today.
Oh,
Welcome to a special presentation of the Watch Dawgs. It's some stuff that was left on the table, and we got to get it back off the table. We got to get some clear minds. We got to get some clear thoughts. We got to get some answers. So, welcome, District Attorney, our current District Attorney for Chatham County, Shalena Cook-Jones, and my fabulous co-host, Dr. Jamar Torre. Madam DA.
good evening.
Give an opening statement, or would you like to just go into these questions that we got for you?
Well, I just want to start by saying, as always, thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. I want of all the things. It's hard to believe that 3.5 years has gone by so fast, but of all the things I really enjoy, it is getting out and getting out into the community and talking about the ins and outs of the legal system and our court system right here in Chatham County that a lot of people don't see and understand. So I'm always grateful to have opportunities like this, and I welcome any questions that you all might have, and I'm just glad for you to and appreciate you always for giving me an opportunity to share.
Dr. Torre, you'd like to say something?
Glad to be here. Glad to be here with you, Julius Hall, and the Honorable DA Shalena Cook-Jones. And so we're so happy, honored to be here. One of the greatest people in the history of Chatham County. Just to let y'all know that. Not Julius Hall. I'm talking about Shalena Jones.
Thank you. I have to appreciate y'all because I have to say that you've always given me an opportunity to be my authentic self. I've talked to you, both of y'all on this screen, talking to the community. I've talked to y'all individually about cases, both in, what was going on in my office and in the community. And you've always allowed me to be my authentic self. And, as a DA right now, I'm, that's an honor and a privilege, right? Because so many people have so many different expectations of who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be like. But I'm grateful to y'all because you've always honored me as a person, not just as a DA. So I appreciate you for that.
Well, we appreciate you always being so honest, open, and candid with us. We are live. We're not. We were going to do this on a tape, so and play it at 12 o'clock tomorrow, but we decided to go live now for for up to, you got an hour to hour and a half. If you get through these 15 questions we got, that Dr. Teray, being the doctor, came up with all these questions.
He is a doctor. He's a Reverend Doctor. Yeah. Yes, I'm ready. And so I'm ready to be an open book. I'll tell you what's funny is that I feel like in the past 3.5 years that I've been DA, there have been a lot of things said about me and about my office in the media and throughout the community. And one of the questions that a lot of people I would get when I would see a lot of people out, they'd be like, well, why haven't you said anything? People you have to respond because people are gonna think that what they're alleging about you is true. And in the absence of an answer from you, people will fill it in with lies. And, as the DA, I'm grateful now in these past few weeks, now that we're running up to the election, to kind of say what I need to say and put this all in context, in the weeks leading up to voting. And let me tell you why that's important. When people can't beat you on the merits, they try to fatigue you in other ways. And a lot of times what they'll do is you'll end up fighting a war of attrition. And so there'll be so many things in the news or so many rumors in the community. And if I took time to really answer and respond to what I knew wasn't true and what I knew wasn't important, I could not have been as effective as I believe we have been in the past 3.5 years. And so I knew they were trying to fatigue me with just a whole bunch of things that weren't true. So now, I'm ready to kind of set the record straight, and because now is the time to do
it. Okay. Our numbers are steady climbing. We advertised this earlier with a flyer and told everybody you were going to be here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Told them that they did not want to miss this tonight.
Oh, wow. I'm glad they're tuning in. I can't see, but hi, everybody that's tuning in, that can see me, that can hear me.
You get stuck in the left-hand corner where it says live.
Yes.
And you see the number right there next to it.
I see a time clock, but I don't see like a number of people or whatever. But that's okay. That's okay with me. As far as I'm concerned, it's me, you, Teray, and the community. I don't care how large or how small the community is. So just honored that you give me the time tonight and that they would share their Friday night with me and their DA at home, just being me and being candid. So thank you.
Okay. Awesome. This will be replayed a number of days after this. We play all our shows in a repeat. So it'll be played at 12 tomorrow in this regular time. Okay. At 12 tomorrow, and it'll be played probably Sunday and Tuesday. So be looking out for it. And we're going to give you our first question because it was my question that I sent the Dr. Teray to put on. Then he came up with all these other ones. But I was at the recent debate that you had the other night, and I wasn't really pleased with it because it seemed like it was a hit job to me. And so it seemed like the news was trying to sway something. I don't know what they were doing. It didn't look fair, and they didn't give you a chance to do what you do. So my question is, at the recent debate, your opponent was asked what was wrong with your office, but you were not given a chance to respond. How would you respond to that now?
Yeah, let me respond to the question and then kind of go back to the commentary first. I thought it was really weird at the debate that they would ask her what was wrong with my office when not only has she not been in my office for a year and a half and doesn't know and is speculating, but I don't see how they could ask her that question and then not give me a chance to rebut that. She knows absolutely nothing about my office. And the things she does know about my office, she gets from moles or people who doesn't want to see my office do well anyway. So I don't know why the moderator or the public would find her response to that even remotely credible. She does not know. But I mean, if I had to rebut that question, I would say that, I would focus and I would say, before I get to what's wrong about my office, I like to talk about what's right about my office. When I came in there, number one thing for me to do, I had a few goals to change the culture in that atmosphere because it was very cliquish, very segregated. My goal was to make sure that we can make the system itself work. And I'm proud to say, you got to remember now that every DA has a different culture. So I'm glad to say now the culture and the climate, now that most of, pretty much all, with the exception of a handful of people, all the moles are gone. When I got into that office, my predecessor said a lot of negative things about me that were not true and that was based on lies. So I inherited an office where more than 50% of the people who were in there already didn't want me to be there from the start because of what they heard about me and not what they had experienced themselves. So I'm glad all those people are gone. And they talk about, well, what's the culture? Now, it's also important to remember, like most DAs who come in, especially DAs like me, who have a completely different platform from my predecessor, they clean house. And that's exactly what my predecessor did when she came in. She cleaned out the first week. Before she started day one, she fired between 6 and 8 people, most of them African American. But for me, I didn't do that, and I couldn't do that. I came in giving everybody a chance and teaching them what my principles were, getting to know them, allowing them to get to know me. And I set a standard. I was like, this is a professional legal office. I run this office like a law firm. And I'd like to expand on that later. How so? But the culture is better. I made it a team culture. That means everybody in my office, I want everybody in this office experience. Everybody know how to try everything because that's what good prosecutors do, right? It's like a baseball or a basketball team. Some teams got their all-star players, but the rest of the team is trash, right? That's how this DA's office was forever before I came, even when I worked there. So she talked about, we don't have a lot of experienced prosecutors, but forever and ever, that office had a reputation of having only a handful of prosecutors, like 5 prosecutors that knew how to really try cases. Everybody else was just pushing files and doing pleas. I didn't want that because I feel like if you got a law degree and you call yourself a prosecutor, you should know how to prosecute everything. And so that's different about our culture. I changed the team strategy, but there's more stability. And so the people that's in my office now are people that are aligned with the mission and the vision of justice, fairness, and equality. Mm-hmm. They're not those prosecutors that try to overcharge cases and, try to pull these prosecutorial tricks in the courtroom that's unjust and unconstitutional. Mm-hmm. And there are a large number. That office was full of people who are traditional prosecutors who felt like that. Mm-hmm. And it was railroading people, mm-hmm. right? And because I showed them a different way, they thought I was either weak or unqualified or I didn't know what I was doing. No, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing something intentionally mm-hmm. different from what you've been doing. Mm-hmm. I'm doing the right thing now. Mm-hmm. So we got prosecutors. We had one prosecutor start last week. We got another one starting on the 13th. Now we hired the right people with the right vision in mind. Finally, the train is going in the right direction. And so there's no favoritism. We got a lot of new talent. I've hired the most diverse staff and ADAs than any other DA before me. Now, as to the question that the person asked what's going wrong in my office, I want people to know that, no office is perfect and I never claim to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Our office could always have more resources. We could always use more training. We could, just always be stronger in terms of technique. And, if you ask me, I never feel like the office is 100% perfect, right? So we always got things to work on, just like Chick-fil-A and Amazon and Walmart and all them other places y'all love to go and shop. I mean, no organization is ever going to be 100% perfect, but those are the things I like to improve. Our, training opportunities, our resources, yeah, and just getting better at trial technique.
Okay, Jamal.
All right. And for this particular election cycle, the DA is at the top of the race, top of the ticket. And why is it important for people not to ignore this race and stay at home and not vote? Share with the people why it is important for people to pay attention, because some things you just said, and I just want to interject this, that we're looking at being able not to go back 100 years ago, but
yes,
to do it into the 21st century. So I just want to share that with you, put that out.
I agree, and I couldn't agree with you 100% more. Well, I would tell voters, whatever you do, don't stay home. Listen, let me tell you something. I've been a lawyer for 22 years, but there were years when I didn't take voting seriously because I didn't think my vote mattered. And now that I'm on the other side of this and I get an opportunity to see, how the sausage is made, so to speak, there's no way I would not vote. And let me tell you why you need to vote for your district attorney. Since I've been in office, okay, when I came into office in 2020, right before that was when people really started talking about justice reform. Maybe since 2008, around the Obama years is when people really started talking about justice reform. And then, you started having progressive prosecutors running for office. And for the first time in Georgia history, the top 5 counties in the state of Georgia, the most populous metropolitan money-making areas of our state, were controlled by 5 Black people of color, 4 female and 1 male, right? Fonnie Willis, Sherry Boston, Patsy Gaston, me, of course. Chatham County is number 5, and I'm forgetting somebody. I know. It'll come back to me. And Flynn Brody in Cobb County. So that means people don't realize that the DA's role is a powerful seat. So what happened is when I got into office, that's when they started making all these laws to control prosecutorial power and discretion. You trying to tell me that mass incarceration has been okay with you since the last 100+ years? And now all of a sudden you making these laws where there's a fight of power where the legislators and lawmakers are saying, these DAs can't tell us what to do. They serve us. But y'all don't know nothing about how the criminal justice system works. And so let me tell you something. This week, our governor signed into law another piece of legislation that expanded the cash bail system even bigger. So before all this reform prosecution came about, there are about 100 offenses that you absolutely had to see a judge for to get the judge to set your bond. Most of them were dangerous felonies. Last year in the legislative session, they expanded it from like 100 offenses to 303. That means that's more offenses you got to wait in jail for to see a judge set a bond and pay money, your cash bail to get out. This week, he expanded it and added 30 new offenses to it, some of which are misdemeanors. That means one of the offenses was criminal trespass. You trying to tell me that every time you criminal trespass on somebody's property, now you got to wait several days in jail to see a judge to pay a bond? That doesn't make sense, because 85% of the people who commit a criminal trespass are either homeless or mentally ill or disabled. These people don't have no money anyway. But you want to put them in jail and keep them in jail because somebody is making money off the $75 to $100 a day that is in jail. That's why the sheriff's taking them now. That's why we're arresting them, not because of COVID is over. These people tired of you cutting into their pockets. So what I'm trying to tell you is that for a simple misdemeanor, you in Chatham County, Donald Trump and Joe Biden don't have nothing to do with this law.
Yes.
Okay? Your governor at the will and demand of his mostly Republican
Yes.
followers.
Mm-hmm.
Put these laws into place that directly impact you in Chatham County.
That's
and
right.
It's up to your district attorney to decide how they're going to enforce those laws, whether they're going to enforce those laws. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the district attorney is the person who's really has the biggest say over your freedom in Chatham County, not the sheriff. If the sheriff don't arrest nobody, the police, the sheriff doesn't do anything. All he do is house the inmates. Right? But it's up to your DA to decide whether or not you're going to be prosecuted for an offense.
Yes.
Right? That affects your life, and you should vote for it. And I can tell you, promise, not just because I know my job and I studied and went to school, and not just because I know my opponent. I've known her since 2010, and I know how she is and who she is and how she practiced and what she stands for, despite what she say in these streets while she attending your fish fries and barbecues.
Yes.
That she never attended before and taking pictures of y'all. I'm saying that I know the difference. I know what's going to happen, what's coming down the pipe for the people in our community. And it's serious. Vote. Don't stay home. Don't stay home. Vote. And the only way we give our power away is if we don't vote. If you don't vote, that'll be your next district attorney. And then you'll have to figure out how she's going to enforce these new laws that the governor just signed into place.
Okay.
And they're not a friend of ours, and understand that. So in Chatham County, 45% of Chatham County comprised of African Americans, 45%. We're the second largest population here in Chatham County. So you have to understand that you might have a frightening future that might take you back to the past. And so you need to step out there and make sure you vote. Listen to our DA and understand that we can stem the tide of all that right now. So I just want to say thank you for your response.
I want to add something to that, Brother Teray, because you raised a good point. The DA's race is at the top of the ticket, but it's not the only race on the ticket. And you know this because I've talked to you about this, brother, both of y'all, in some way, shape, or form over the past 3.5 years. The other people that you vote for, you got what you call them? Commission members on the ballot. Okay? Whenever you have commission, what the government and voters need to know is that your chair, your commission chair, and the rest of the people who sit at the board of commission, on the board of commission for Chatham County, they fund your DA's office.
Yes.
Right? And so when you look at your DA and you talk about how effective your DA is, or even they fund your police department, they fund Chatham County Police Department, right? So when you look at policing and law enforcement and prosecution in your county, and when the media, they want to point the finger at the DA did this or didn't do this, or the police chief did this or didn't do this, you got to know, you got to look at the entities and government entities behind us who fund our offices, because really all we're able to do really depends on how well we are funded and whether we're properly resourced and funded. So when you pass by those commissioners and you don't study them and what their policies are and how they feel about crime and how they voted on the DA's last 4 requests to increase salary of her staff or to increase programming, when you don't vote for those people, our hands are tied by how much resources and money we get from them. That's why these local races are important. The people who are running who actually running these entities, you need to be paying attention to the candidates on the ballot, because all of them affect your budget and then your community in some way, because they determine how taxpayer dollars are spent.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to take a real quick commercial, come right back, and then we'll got some tough questions for you. And I want you to think about this one while we're gone. Why do you think you're a better person for this position than your opponent? You're going to answer that in about 2 minutes.
Have you ever experienced a Juneteenth event? Come out to Port Wentworth and celebrate our 2nd annual Juneteenth Festival. Friday, June 21st from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. Come enjoy our music, our food, our heritage, our culture, and our history. It will be plenty of fun for everyone. Juneteenth is American history. It's a day that we celebrate and remember. It's a day that we look back, but more importantly, a day that we look forward. Join us this June.
Transformative, that's what Sonia Jackson is. Creative, that's what Sonia Jackson is. Compassionate, that's what Sonia Jackson is. Leadership, that's what Sonia Jackson demonstrates. Dedicated, that's what Sonia Jackson is. Chatham County, there's never been a tax commissioner like Sonia Jackson. She has made the office more accessible, more consistent, more convenient, and more service-friendly. Let's keep Sonia Jackson while she takes the tax commissioner's office to new heights. On May 21st, cast your vote for a great public servant. Vote Sonia Jackson for tax commissioner.
Okay. Now,
that's beautiful.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
thank you. Why do you think you're a better person for this position than your opponent is?
Okay, so I don't like to talk about people because my mama raised me right. So I'm not going to talk about nobody, and I'm not going to tell you no gossip. I'm just going to stick with the truth. I'm not even going to tell you my opinion. I'm going to stick with the truth. My opponent in the primary has been in the DA's office for 20 years. So she is definitely not the candidate for change. And if you want your criminal justice system to change in terms of see changes in terms of mass incarceration, making sure these numbers go down. If you want somebody with the heart and the intestinal fortitude to stand up to the legislature when they say they're going to criminalize reproductive rights and they don't now the other thing that the governor did this year is that he made marijuana a Control 1 substance. You can go to jail and be and stay there as long for marijuana for possession as you can for cocaine. Who you think he's targeting with that? And so if you want a DA who's going to stand up for change, who understands the impact that these laws have on all of our community and is sensitive to that, I'm a much better opponent than her. Because she has done nothing in the 20 years that she's been there to show that she's going to be creative. So going back to the facts, let me tell you what I have done. I have been an open advocate for the decriminalization of abortion rights, reproductive freedoms, and marijuana and drug possession and addiction. Okay, I have a proven plan for reducing recidivism and getting people back to work through second chance programs and connecting them with resources. I've expanded resources to our youth in preventative ways to keep them out of the criminal justice system and off the streets by offering them counseling and all kinds of things. And I have that just to name a few. Yes, she's prosecuted cases, but I prosecuted cases too. We've been lawyers for the same amount of time, but I'm a better DA than her because I have shown and proved the work. You didn't ask me this, but I'm gonna tell you because I don't know which opponent you're talking about. I expect to win the primary because I expect that everybody under the sound of my voice is going to come out and they're going to vote. And the numbers just don't lie. But I also have an opponent in the general election. You know, as I said, I'm nice. He's a nice person. He's a funny guy. He's affable. But at the end of the day, he has never tried a felony. He doesn't know anything about felony prosecution, nothing. He's never stepped inside of a superior courtroom to try anything. He's great at resolving DUIs, but being a DA is so much more. It's not even about trying cases. It's about being an executive and know how to lead the office with vision. And I'm the only candidate who has a plan. I say that proudly. I'm the only candidate who has an actual plan and who's beginning to work that plan. So in my view, I'm the strongest candidate on the ballot and the one most deserving of your vote.
Okay. And so now I'll throw this question out to you. What changes have you made in your office that you think the public should know about? What are the things that we might not be aware of that you think the public need to know about that's important for them to know, so that will direct them on how they need to go to the polls and make that right decision? That's in the primary and in the general election.
Yeah, so some of the changes that we made, I was thinking back on this last debate, one of the things they said was that our office wasn't transparent. I'm blown by that, because our office was the first office to handle record restrictions and which we formally call as expungements, in a digitized way, where you could just apply to the office and go to our website and download the form and it be processed. Like, how much more transparent and accessible can we make ourselves to the public? My office did its first both conjoined job fair and community resource fair, where we invited the community in and told them about the youth programs that we have, and did the expungement clinic there, and then talked to them about child support and how we plan to run that office. My office has a program wherein if you owe child support, it never made sense to me that if you owe child support, they suspended your driver's license. What was even worse to me is that when you actually got arrested for your suspended driver's license, you would sit in jail for days and weeks and not be required to have an appointment with child support. So I asked my child support, do you know when these people get arrested and they end up in jail for a suspended license for non-payment of child support? She said, no. That's crazy to me. You think a summons to say your license is suspended, that's an administrative issue you need to handle. Yes. That you can't drive your car today, but handle it. And this is because the child supports are making an appointment within the next 7 to 10 days. And that's what I've done.
Yes,
that's what I have done, because so those are kind of the kind of programs that I want the community to know about. We started a program called the Mentors Program, MEN, men taking opportunities to redefine success, because the social science tells us that the human brain development isn't over to the age of 24. In the state of Georgia, the legal age to be tried as an adult is 17. That goes against the science, right? So that means that we have to create second chances for those who justice impacted and justice involved individuals who need resources and alternatives to committing crimes and stuff like that. So I'm really proud of what we've been able to do. And it's kind of like planting a seed and watering it. It's going to take time for it to grow and for those shoots to start showing through the soil. You know this, Mr. Farmer, Brother Torre, what that you be doing. We need time to see our labor. And those are just a few things I want the community to know about.
Okay, excellent.
Well, we before I get to my next question, I wanted to tell you, we stream to about 8 different platforms, but we only like advertise on like 3 or 4 of them. And you have hit 2,100 people already, which is a number that we haven't seen in a while over here. We usually get a couple of 800-900. You're at 2,100. So everybody's sharing it and telling everybody. You got we're streaming tonight off of YouTube and my Facebook page and the Our Black Media Network's Facebook page. So y'all continue to share. The DA has something to say, and she's saying it. And my next question is, tell us some of the challenges you face as DA and how you've overcome them.
Well, I just told you about a lot of the changes that I made to the office. And when I first came into office, I really thought that, there was a lot of change that I wanted to see made. And but I realized that this job changed me a lot as well. Because I learned the difference between being a leader of people and being a manager of people. And you want to try to lead an office, you have to cast the vision for the office, right? So the leader casts the vision and then tells the people to meet it, right? A manager says, this is the vision, and then I'm going to manage people I direct the people. So you kind of had to do both. And that was a challenge it's very, very challenging to have a staff that large and make change that quick, because the only way that change is accomplished is through people. And in order for people to make a change, you're not really dealing with the people and the behavior, because you could write a rule down in black and white and say that's the rule, but getting people to follow it and to do it willingly is a hard thing. So some of the biggest challenges that I face is walking into an office that was hostile. Some of the biggest challenges that I face was walking into an office where, the people before me had destroyed everything. They shredded everything. They didn't leave a document, a policy, a piece of paper. They left out, the thing about our fiscal year runs from June to July. They left out in December, right in the middle of the fiscal year. They spent all the money, said they spent it on supplies I couldn't find. The county made me pay it anyway. It was terrible. So I was walking into running a legal office with a staff of 150 people with no blueprint, no policy. And, the other challenge was that when I came in, everybody had been out for COVID for months. Nobody was even coming to the courthouse. So you come back on day one and you're like, hey, I'm the new person. I want all 148 of y'all to come to work on Monday. What? And so those were big challenges. And now when people talk about COVID, a lot of times people don't want to hear it because they think that they're using it as an excuse, but they don't understand how COVID impacted the criminal justice system.
Yes.
I had people backed up in jail for the year and a half that the courts were shut down. I had an office that wasn't used to coming to work for a year and was doing nothing. Now, I'm not trying to offend anybody, because people get really offended when I say this, but they was at home in their pajamas eating bonbons, not doing work and collecting taxpayers' money. And then when the court system opened up, y'all held me accountable for performance. I have to handle these cases now. It's been a huge challenge, because when you have legislators on your back who are at the Capitol under the Gold Dome lying on your name to your community just because they're mad that you beat their predecessor.
Yes.
And calling you out by name and lying. I mean, just lying. And then when I challenge you and say, sir, you're misinformed. Come to my office and meet the people that you're talking about. Let me do a tour so I can show you what our policy is. You don't have enough dignity or professionalism to show your face in my office. But you go to Atlanta and lie on me in front of my face, and there are panels of people believing this. Talk about, now we got to overrule these prosecutors because they're rogues and they don't know what they're doing. Let me tell you something. We talk about the challenges. Thank you for allowing me to express this. I sat and watched CNN on the news when the former President Trump was in office. And this was right before he was indicted by the DA in Atlanta. He sat on CNN platform and said, these Black female prosecutors are mentally ill and they're threatening the freedom of our democracy. And nobody said a mumbling word. Not the NAACP, nobody.
Yep.
Not only is it disrespectful, you're putting a target on my back, because there are people who people for this country. And said, I sat there in front of the TV, not as the district attorney, even though I had that office, but I sat there in front of the TV as a citizen and a human and a mother and a voter. And I was appalled. And I was like, I just got to see that this is wrong. And the hit, when I tell you, know that saying, the hits just keep on coming. The hits just keep on coming. They came for me with everything they had. Anthony Burton. Y'all know Anthony Burton.
Yes.
Out in the street, he's confused. He ran for recorder's court, then he thought he wanted to run for DA. Now he's running for probate judge. He just want to be important.
Yeah.
But Anthony Burton, I have not allowed, I refuse to speak his name in my office for the 3.5 years that I've been there, because I don't give him any clout and he's not going to get any air out of me. And the only reason why I'm saying this now is because I discovered recently that Anthony Burton reported me to the FBI, the GBI, the PAC, the AG's office, and the state bar, claiming that I misused DA's office funds. These are his words now to my face. I'm not telling you what I think. He told me he reported me to all these agencies. Not only was those allegations false, and nothing ever came of them, by the way. When in the history of DA-dom do you have somebody who has the unmitigated gall to make these false claims against a sitting elected official and say these kinds of things in public? And again, nobody said a mumbling word. Those are the challenges that I've been through as a DA, just to name a few. And don't forget, I'm still a mama. I'm still a wife. I'm divorced now. I was. That's something to go through when you're in a public office. But those are the personal challenges I had to face. But I'm grateful to God that I was able to rise to the occasion and that he kept me focused on the work. And that's why our numbers are better than theirs. And if you stay true to your principle and to your core, a cream always rise to the top. I love my team. There are people in that office who had my back for as many, even people who are not there anymore, who had my back because they believed in what I was trying to say, in the work I was trying to do, and knew it was different. But I faced a lot of challenges, but I'm grateful. Anthony stole money from you. I'm his biggest fan. He's obsessed with me. But every time I see him, I shake his hand because my mama raised me right. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Okay. I'll now throw this question out to you. That was a mouthful, and that was a mindful what you just shared. And we know there's even more to it. But when we look at what are the greatest challenges that you see with regards to the criminal justice system right now? What are the greatest challenges or biggest challenges that you see regarding the criminal justice system?
Wow. The biggest challenges in general is that mass incarceration is a problem. And mass incarceration, the reason it's a problem is because it's not a coincidence that most of the people in our jails were built for Black, brown, and poor people. And America has a psychological problem because it gaslights its citizens. And America tells its citizens, you can be anything you want to be, but yet they make laws that prevent people from being anything they want to be, particularly people who are not in power. And we have become so anesthetized till we can see these things happen right in front of our face and we don't do anything about it. The fire that we had in our belly for the civil rights system, in the civil rights era, and where the churches came together, all that is gone. And the biggest threat to our criminal justice system, I said this recently, is closed-minded legislators who are political and partisan and who favor their rich friends, homies, and cronies and go under the Capitol and put laws in place and then make people enforce them when they don't know what they're talking about, never spent a day in law school, and don't know anything about how the law should be exacted in courts. And then they go there with the appetite for greed to promote their own businesses that they make in corporations that they establish, buying up poor people's property and not giving people places to go or creating opportunities. There's a lot of things that's wrong with our criminal justice system. I can go on and on because not only have I been a lawyer for more than 20 years, I'm a sociologist, so I study these kinds of things. I've studied this all my life. But we got a lot of problems with our criminal justice system, but those are some of the biggest ones. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say was people don't realize, and the people going to say this, America has an issue with poor people, poor and powerless people. America has an issue, and they will always come after you and punish you harsher than the people who are really engaged in some of the most severe crimes that impact our society greater. So we have an issue with poor people. And so that's, again, what you're saying, that, again, with regard tied to criminal justice system, this is something that I talked about and put out there. So you're absolutely correct.
You're so right. I asked somebody asked me about that, the other day. And I was saying that America, we got the top 1% of people in the world who make the most money. And these are the people who complain the most about paying taxes. But that top 1% of the people in the world, in order to stay rich, has to depend on the lower end of the socioeconomic system. They need poor people. They need low wages. They need you to be unemployable. So that you can. So it's just a reincarnation of slave labor.
Yep.
Right. And so, and what I've been trying to say for years, I said this. Y'all remember when I started out in 2020? Poverty is the root cause of the criminal justice system.
Yes.
And so, but they won't tell you that. You know what they'll tell you? They'll tell you Black people and brown people are inherently criminal. They're animals. And you have to find a way to lock them up. Let me go back to our wonderful state governor. This week, he signed a piece of legislation that now says that all jails have to check the immigration status of people when they get checked into the jail and notify ICE of their immigration status. So let me say this to you. The reason he did this is because, unfortunately, a young woman in Athens, a young white woman, was killed and murdered by a man who was not a U.S. resident. He was from a Spanish-speaking country. Nope. Maybe the thing about it that boggles my mind is that the man didn't. Let me not laugh about it, because the loss of an individual is very important. But the man didn't do what he did because he was Mexican. He didn't do what he did because he didn't have papers. He did what he did because that was in him. That was in him to do, right? And the two don't really have anything to do with each other, but it sets this narrative and it feeds this idea that Black and brown people are dangerous, right? You know it. Hello, Teray?
Yes.
I'm frozen.
I have a 14-year-old son. I have a 14-year-old son who, since he was about 6, could articulate experiences that he had because of his color. And since he was about 6, I've had to teach him lessons about how to conduct himself in society so that people don't think he's stealing, so they don't think he's using drugs, so they don't think he's doing something wrong. And as a mother, it breaks my heart because even I'm the district attorney, but my Blackness doesn't provide my son any immunity. But meanwhile, for my white counterparts in elected positions of power, their role as an elected official provides their kids with a whole bunch of immunity. My son gets no extra immunity or special treatment because of who I am. He looked just like me. When he go out into the world, he looked just like me. And people treat him how they treat people in the world who look just like me. And going back to the role as DA, maybe this is too transparent. I'm sorry to share this with you, but you know who I am, and you know I've been this way on and off camera before I ran for office. Julius, I met you before I declared the first time, so you know. I feel like as a district attorney and as a Black female in particular, and being a Black female district attorney in this day and age, I feel like I've spent more time defending myself than I have people. I don't get the inherent right of credibility. I'm a professional. I went to Spelman College and UGA for law school. I've been practicing law for 22 years, and I've had to defend myself against people who still believe that I'm not qualified to do this job. What would I have to do to earn the inherent credibility that my counterparts get just by walking in the room and being white and male? Why is it that when I'm articulate, you confuse that articulation and passion for anger? And because it's easy, because when you can call me angry, then you can also say I'm emotional or unintelligent. And it allows you to overlook the truth of my statement. How is it that in 2024, I can be cursed out in my office by people who work for me and who have practiced law a fraction of the time? And then they turn around and sue me and say I discriminated against them based on gender? Are you kidding? This is the world we live in. Maybe I'm traumatized. I don't even remember the question y'all asked me. Keep going.
No. You here addressed it, and also we went and put out some other things too. And because I discussed it, I said that America has an issue with poor people, and that was, and so you elaborated on that. But it also goes to say that even you say family members not protected, and we know, and that's why anyone out here in Chatham County, you know that some Caucasian elected officials, their children, their spouses have had protections, that some things they have not had to deal with, that any of us, I could stand on River Street, have on an African outfit, and they could have the audacity to call the police on me, and they come. So again, none of us are protected. No one, even you can tell your son all the measures, all the steps as to how to protect himself out there. But guess what? All of that, and you need to understand this. I'm saying not to you, DA. I'm saying to you checking out the show, all y'all looking at the show, that even, I should say, there are people, I think, what African-Americans, well-to-do African-Americans, they had a session with their young children, with their young males in particular. They sat them down and had a person to come and speak to them. But they say, even with all of that, guess what? They could do all the right things and still be harmed.
Now, listen, I'm going to say this because I'm glad you said that, because we talked about gaslighting. America gaslights its citizens. America gaslights people of color because it tells you that there's no such thing as race and there's no such thing as racism. And that it makes you the bad guy for bringing it up and raising it. Mm-hmm. It says, oh, she's militant. I've been described as militant by my classmates since I've been in law school. Am I militant, or am I just passionate about social justice?
That's what it is.
And I can say this, I'm going to tell you this right here. I was curious to see how many people got pardoned in the last 8 years. And so we got a system in our office. It's called Tracker. Mm-hmm. And I pulled the records and receipts of campaign consultants, elected officials, and friends of prior DAs whose DUIs just all kind of went away and got reduced to reckless conduct or dismissed altogether. Mm-hmm. But if I say something about that, that means I'm the angry Black woman. Now, I'm gonna say this also, just to show everybody the differences. And we talking about race, and I'm being transparent with y'all and talking about I'm talking about the context of this role. My predecessor, it is a violation of state law. I've said this a lot of times. It is a violation of state law to employ somebody that you're married to, that you're related to by blood or marriage, and pay them more than $10,000 a year. Mm-hmm. It's a violation of state law, period. I printed the statute out. I've said, okay, my predecessor employed her husband. They got the same last name. Yeah. Employed her husband in this office for plenty of years. I'm not even going to get into the details of the conversation that she and I talked about personally when we were cool over lunch, because I'm just going to stick with the facts. She paid her husband to work in CNT and brought him in under a grant for $65,000 a year. And then within 1 year, raised his salary from $65,000 to $110,000 a year, and had the county pay him a supplement on top of that. So there were people in the county who were complicit with it. Yeah. And when I was in office, they were chasing me about $457 worth of petty cash that they didn't even count, that they didn't even tell me they gave me when I walked into office, because they never did a proper handover. You trying to tell me you're going to chase me for $456 when this lady done defrauded the state and the people out of $110,000 a year for 3 years? And you chasing me? Oh, you think that I am so wicked and criminal that I would steal $457 from my own office when I was the one who told you to audit it when I found it in my office? Are you crazy? But this is the difference. You understand? Between me and them. And here's the reason why I'm saying this, because I don't like when people put a black card, and I don't like when people race bait. And I want to be very clear about what I'm saying to you so you can hear me with your ears. What I am trying to say, don't feel pity for me. When I'm trying to say that if this is the treatment that a person, an elected official like me gets when the voters put them in office, if this is the treatment that I get from the legislature and from the commission and from the county and from the mayor's office, and if this is the treatment that I get when I'm an elected official who's educated and got and can practice law in 3 states and been a lawyer for 22 years, if this is how they treat me, the people behind them bars don't have no chance.
That's right.
The poor people in our communities that don't have anybody to speak for them have no chance at all. So, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm trying to appeal to the voters. That's why I'm here, because I am not fighting for this job for a salary or for money or for power. I'm fighting because I want to make wrong right. I'm fighting because I want the right thing to be done, because it's just and it's fair. I'm fighting because that inequality and unfairness burns me up on the inside. And I'm fighting because there are some people who want to get in this office. It don't bother them.
Right.
It don't bother them. But when I'm fighting for this job because it's important, because freedom and justice and equality and social justice is important.
Yes.
It's important that if we got all this industry and all this money in Savannah, Chatham County, and all the studies show that money and good pay and a lifestyle is a deterrent to crime. It's a shame.
Yes.
We got all of these people caught in Savannah for all these development opportunities, and we still got people this poor in the streets. Why? You talk about you can't find nobody to work, bringing in people outside the county, when we got all these people right here that are employable.
Okay. And you're very, very passionate, and people need to see that. You're not just talking it, you're walking it. One of the problems is it's kind of deep with all the things that you're saying right now. It's really deep because, see, we're our biggest problem also, and we got to face that. I know the good doctor don't like me to blame us, but I have to, because we're not unified. We're not united at all. And until we become more unified so that, people respect numbers. You can say anything in the world you want to say, but people respect numbers. Your power is in your numbers, and that is unity. Until we become organized and unified, it's going to be a problem. We got a question for you. My next question, I'm gonna let it go to my co-host who isn't here tonight, Carlton Carter. He thought the show is tomorrow, but the DA had things to do, and I had things to do, and then the other co-hosts had things to do, and we didn't want to leave Carlton by himself tomorrow to fend you off. So Carlton has a question here. Do you still follow your restorative justice practice?
I still believe in, okay, let me say this, Carlton, that's a great question. I still believe that restorative justice is where our criminal justice system needs to go eventually, because what people don't realize is that they use the criminal justice system as a tool and think prosecution, throwing people in jail or putting people on paper is going to fix everything. And it not only does it that false, but most victims, and I spoke to a victim in my office today in a rape case from 2019, most victims need healing. Our community needs healing, and our community needs restoration. That's where restorative practice comes in. What you need to understand is our government isn't there yet, and they've been resisting it. And that's why you saw Senate Bill 92 to keep prosecutors in line and keep them from moving in that direction. So before restorative justice comes reformative justice. Reformative justice is changing the current system that we have. Right now, we're in a war and a fight because people want our justice system to stay the same, right? So reformative justice, things like ending mass incarceration, community-based programs, etc., that has to take place first before we can move to restorative justice. I believe that restorative justice is the right way. I believe in that model, but we got a lot to do before we get there.
And in fact, in Norway, again, people look at the study in Norway and see how they handle the criminal justice system, and restorative justice is a part of it. And look at how they function and look at us in the United States. And we've done studies like that. And then people are going to say, why can't we be like that? And it goes right back to what you're saying. The reformative element comes into play. And again, it comes down to voting. If you vote in people who are be about reformative justice, guess what? We'll see the changes happen. But if you go with the ones who still want to be about punitive, then you have that right there. And it threatens your freedom. It threatens your liberty and the liberty of your family members.
I love that you say that, brother. Can I add some more truth on top of the truth that you just said?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
When I won in 2020, I beat my opponent by 8,000 votes. That means that I'm trying to remember how many people, probably 12,000. Gosh, I just can't remember.
I got it right here.
There were probably 12,000 people that voted in that election. We ran that race. We won that race by 8,000 votes. What I'm trying to say is that the people, the voters, are ready for transformation, reformation, and restoration.
Yep.
The people are ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
The government is not.
It was 130,683 people voted in that election. You won 69,000.
Right.
65 to Meg Heap's 61,000.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for pulling that number. I forget it every time. That's a lot of people saying they want change and reformation in the criminal justice system. What I didn't realize until I got in this position, because I came in here, and that's the difference between me and my opponents. I came here to fix ideology. I came here to fix pedagogy.
Mm-hmm.
I came in here to fix systems. I don't care about people and identity and popularity and and stuff like that. I came here to fix the system. That's the difference between me and my opponents. But what I didn't realize is that the government at different levels, local, city, federal, state government, they have a different interest in criminal justice. It took me a long time to realize that. It took me a long time that all these people who out here talking about, oh, we want to do this for the poor people and we want to do this for the incarcerated people. I didn't realize until I got into this office that I was biting into people's pockets. When I started talking about cash bail, I didn't realize that there are bail bonds companies that pay a lot of money to support other candidates because they need people to go to jail so they can bail them out and make money. I didn't realize that. I thought everybody wanted justice and freedom and fairness like this. I didn't realize that coming into the system and highlighting its errors meant that I was also highlighting those people who are complicit in this system for the past 20, 40, 60 years. So they want to put a candidate in place that'll get them back to where they were so that they can keep making their money under cover of night and keep benefiting, right? They don't want a person in there like me who is actually going to think about how to make things better and more effective and more efficient. They don't want me. They want somebody who's going to keep it the way it was when Spencer Lawton was in office for 40 years and nobody ever questioned what he did, even though he didn't even come into the office and show his face.
Right.
Right. So what I'm trying to say is that our government, not just here in Chatham County, but in our nation, that's the level that's getting in the way of us having restorative, transformative justice. Because at the end of the day, not only is it more effective, it's also cheaper. And jail is big business. And there are a lot of fat cats at the table.
That's right.
Making money off your back. If it wasn't true, why do you think they expanded the cash bail bonds schedule? So more of y'all can go to jail and lose your job. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry, Julius. You know what? You know what, Julius? Since the first time we met, I have never been, my biggest failure as a person is that I don't know how to be anything other than myself. I don't know how to play a political role and tap dance and not say what I mean. I don't know how to play the political game and say all the right things and and rub elbows with people that I don't respect because I don't respect your policies and your practices. I don't know how, and I don't, in fact, I'm not even comfortable around people like that. Now, if you want to talk about change and you want to talk about doing something and being effective, we can hang out all day. But I don't know how to speak another language. And that's why I watch the words that I say and who I talk to, because a lot of people will be offended by what I'm saying to you right now. And maybe people won't vote for me because they think that I'm angry. But you can think I'm angry as long as you know I'm accurate.
Okay.
And I tell people this, I want to share that many of us, we do not speak with passion. We speak with purpose. That's what it is, purpose. And I have to then go and tell folks, sometimes it is divine purpose. That's what it is. So it's not anger, but again, it is purpose. It is purpose of enlightenment. It is purpose, understanding what needs to happen.
You think that's true, Julius? You
That's
think that's
correct.
true?
That's what we do here. We speak with purpose. We speak truth to power here. We don't care what nobody say. We don't care, period. If you think I care, you are sadly mistaken. I am going to tell it like I see it. You can agree or disagree. It does not matter on this platform, because guess what? I run it. Ain't nobody running me. And so it's going to be told like it's always told. We're going to bring who we want to bring on here for the people. It's our community that is underserved. And it is people like you that are trying to level the playing field. And people need to know that. We speak truth to power here every day. We educate on this platform every day. We bring over 20-something different shows. We're on 8 different platforms, but we stream mainly the 3 or 4 of them heavily. And we try to enlighten the people as to what's happening in our community. Because before this, there was no other information for us. We just had to thumb it, you know. We just had to play by ear.
I want to ask y'all a question, because both of you are very well experienced in having these kinds of conversations and transparent discussions. Socially and politically, you know, I feel like we have been constrained, you know, and I try very hard to live by the Michelle Obama principle. You know, when they go low, you go high. But I don't know, maybe I'm less of a Gandhi and more of a Malcolm X. But why does this? I mean, because people were split about them and Martin and Malcolm and their approaches even during the civil rights era. But why do you think that communities are so split? Like they feel even in people within our own culture and community shy away from the truth and from candid discussion. Why do you think that is?
Because people are afraid. And again, I'll share this. One, people are afraid. People have also been miseducated, and that it harkens back to oppression. This is how oppression works. Oppression does that to people. Even when you know the truth, oppression has the people who know the truth not speaking out because they're always afraid that they're going to come get them. The boogeyman of oppression is going to come get them. So they shy away and say nothing. And what you got to understand, that just for the audience, that for you to progress or to become anything, you got to have 2 entities. And so we like to compartmentalize. You can't compartmentalize. You got to have a full view, because guess what? How do you have a child? For you to have a child, you got to have the sperm and the egg. You got to have the woman and the male element. You got to have that. It's not the woman that's producing the child. It is that, again, and it's not the man doing it. That, again, they come together. So even with regards to when they say choose one or the other, no, it's not. Sometimes it's not that. It's the fullness of it. And when you understand that, then you can go forward. But then what goes on is that we are afraid because we are still oppressed. And I tell folks, your oppressive thoughts stay with you, even if you are the president, the chairman, the executive director, you are the mayor, the county commission chairman, you are a DA, you are a governor. Guess what? You still be oppressed if you're not liberated. And what happened when people are liberated, they will speak the truth. So our DA, Shalena Jones, is liberated. That's why she can look at it and then speak it. Now, other people who are afraid, they're going to say, you're angry, you're mad, or you're uncouth, or other things like that. No, it's their way to try to shy and just misdirect the people. No, guess what? Wakil Jal Haq, truth has arrived falsehood must perish. Falsehood by very
Yes.
bound to
Yes.
perish. So that's why we do what we do.
Yes.
That's what we say. Julius Hall said it. That's what is speaking the truth, because falsehood must perish. If you say nothing at all, that falsehood is going to continue to grow. Then you're going to try to understand why you're still oppressed, because you allow your oppression to keep you silent.
Right. I think the other thing, to that point, I'm glad you said that, because it got me thinking. I think the other thing is that people don't realize that truth and discomfort can exist in the same space.
Absolutely.
Now, just because it makes you uncomfortable doesn't mean you should pull away from it. It means you should examine it and explore that truth instead of ignoring it. And, when you go in the right direction and you lean into your discomfort, that's the only way you learn whether and confirm what you've been confronted with, or come up with another or come up with another truth, or expand your capacity to think. One of the things I cannot stand, and I do this in hiring right now, I don't want to hire any lawyers or staff who cannot think for themselves. I would rather you demonstrate the mental dexterity and show me that you thought and you ended up with the wrong conclusion than for you to just not think at all. Show me your muscles, show your work. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how I know that you're thinking. And to me, thought is powerful. But I'm glad to hear you say that truth and discomfort, they can coexist, and you can't be afraid of that.
Absolutely.
What I'm saying might make you uncomfortable, but that don't mean it's false.
I mean, that's what Jesus did. And so guess what? And some people realize this right here, that when you are uncomfortable in situations, people throw it out there, they say, guess what it is? It helps with regards to growth. You grow from that. So again, because you're learning, you grow from it. But see, we think, no, we just have to shy away and be stuck, in that barren land, underground. No, it's not. For you to grow, just for that seed to come out the ground, it goes through some struggle. It's uncomfortable. Then it finally comes out, bam. And then you enjoy the fruits of all of that.
Thank you for that rebirth of how things are naturally processed in nature. We got about 14, 15 minutes. We want to make sure that we get these other questions. So your next question is?
Me?
No, Jamal.
Oh, okay.
I do got it. Hey, Brother Julius, right. I do want to say this before you ask me this question, so I can put this out there. I'm not just critical of the government. I'm also critical of our community.
Yes.
There's some things that we got to do too. Okay. Yes. I love God. I believe in God. I don't make no bones about it. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. I don't care what you believe in. That's between you and whoever you serve. That's nobody at all. That's just me. I'm talking about myself. But I also say I got some criticisms for the church.
Right. Yes.
I love y'all. I love Jesus, but I have so I guess the way my kids will put it, everybody can catch it.
That's right.
Everybody can catch it, but I also have myself because excellence requires that level of scrutiny. That's
right. Where you at, Jamal? Number 10? No. I got number 9. I'm bad. I think it's my time.
I know where I was.
It's my time. Okay, this is my question. It seems like there's been an attack on female prosecutors across the nation. Fannie Willis, Kim Fox, Pamela Price, and others. You've seen them. You know they're attacking all of them. I don't know why. It's just the sisters. It seems like y'all just cause a problem to them with the power structure, with the establishment, it seems. How do you feel about that, and what is your response?
I do know all those people. I do know all those women. I do know all the others that you didn't name. We're in organizations together, and we talk often. I can't speak for them individually, but I know I can say that I believe that the attack has been coordinated. I can't speak to their individual experiences, but I can say that it's intentional. I can say, and I think it goes back to some of the things that I said before. I feel like it's odd Okay, so I'm speaking from my perspective, right? Because I don't know what it's like to be anything other than a Black woman. But I've been in this business for a long time in different forms. And I know that, it's very odd to me that, I've been sued for employment discrimination and but they alleging that I mistreated people because they were female or because they had a different sexual orientation. Which couldn't be farther from the truth. But I'm trying to find a way to soft pedal this. Nobody talks about the opposite, which is that a lot of people don't like to take instruction from Black women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody likes to take instruction from Black women. Young, it's not just white people. They're great. For all my friends who are white people, they're great. You know who I rock with white people, okay? Right. Just because I look like this and I got locks doesn't mean I'm militant and I don't like white people. I mean, I love God's people. I love God's creation. And I rock with people who, who are sensitive to diversity. But I guess the point I'm making is a lot of people just don't like taking direction from Black women.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They think that we're overbearing or bossy or mean or, ignorant and I'm speaking for myself and I'm speaking for other sisters in the struggle who have expressed to me that they felt the same way. And so, nobody explores that in the reverse because nobody's willing to come out and say, I just don't want to work for a Black woman.
Right.
I don't feel like she's qualified to tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's a lot of that. People just don't. And listen, I mean, this is not the only industry where that exists, right? We're seeing things in Hollywood where Black women, it's not. Taraji Henson had to break down on TV and saying she wasn't getting paid the same as her counterparts, even though she had all these awards and stuff like that. And we were all shocked, like, oh, she should be rich, but it's happening in there too. It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what that's about.
Okay. Now, I'll just share this for the audience. Women engage in misogyny also. Women engage in misogyny. People tend to think that it's just men that do it. Women engage with and going again. Because again, oppression got you thinking like that and functioning like that. So I'm going to throw this out there. This is actually a two-parter. Your opponent says that she's going to bring the people back to the office. So that's part one. And part two is, what would you like to accomplish in your next term of office that you were not able to do this time, but what you want to engage in and what you like to fulfill in your next term of office? So, but your opponent has said that she'll bring the people back to the office. We get your thoughts on that. And then what do you like to achieve? And that's why we need to re-elect you to office so you can fulfill that.
Right. Well, as I've said before, that's not even a promise. It's a claim. And it's not anything that I would base my vote on. And I told y'all, and I've said before, I told the commission at the end of March that the reason that people were leaving was because of pay. I said during the debate that out of the 39 people that left my office, 30 of them left for a legitimate reason. More money, more pay, had to move out of town, take care of a sick family member, or they had to leave for medical reasons, right? So the 12 people that she talking about coming back, who are they? Where are they? Why have they not come forward? And the bigger question is, do you want them in your DA's office? Because chances are they've been there for the past 20 years, just like her, doing nothing, sitting on cases and putting people in jail with no evidence to support it. Are those people you want in your office? I don't. So what I say to that is, I would not bet my vote on that. So anyway, as to what I expect to accomplish in the future, more of what Mr. Carlton said, more of pushing forward. One of the things I like to do, and I said this in 2020 when I ran, is that my goal was, I believe in community-based strategies. I believe in community programming. And because I was working on the machine of the criminal justice system and trying to get that office running, doing what it's supposed to do best, I didn't get a chance to get out into the community as much as I would have liked. And have the kind of discussions with the community that I'm having with you now.
Mhm.
And you know, we're just now getting a chance to do that. We were behind the 8 ball because of COVID and other things in the market that we couldn't anticipate. But in the future, I want to base more of these programs and these discussions in the community.
Yes.
I want to pull Wall Street
Mhm.
and Bay Street together. Where I mean, I want all this new industry that's in Savannah and all this new development and Hyundai plant and stuff like that. Pull it together, because if we can take people from the system, not violent people who need to be in prison for the rest of their life. If we could take the 81% of people who in the justice system and
Mhm.
give them an alternative and send them back to work and include them in this business,
Mhm.
you'll see less crime.
Yes.
And because a rising tide raises all boats. So
Mhm.
I want to do more of that kind of stuff in the future, more programmatic stuff. And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Hall.
Um, is there any? Can you highlight some of the differences between you and your opponents?
Yeah, I think to put it simply, and I touched on that before, my opponent has done nothing for change, nothing for reformative justice, nothing for, and will never get to restorative justice. Hadn't even had an original idea of her own in 20 years. Never been a deputy DA or at any executive level of management in that office. So that shows she doesn't have what it takes to lead. The other person doesn't have any experience in leading the office and doesn't know anything about the other 95% of what the DA's office actually does. So, I mean, I think those are the primary differences.
Okay. All right. So
10 minutes, Jamal.
And they're not as fine as me. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
right, absolutely. Right.
You're right.
I'm joking.
So what I'm gonna throw out to you, what do you think is the biggest problem regarding the way politics is operated in Savannah and Chatham County?
The biggest problem is that we got too many crabs in the bucket. Everybody want to be the superstar of their own show, and nobody want to work together. We have so many resources till it's absolutely ridiculous. But if people's names not on it, and if they not front and center, they don't want to come together to work toward a collaborative cause. The problem with politics in Savannah and Chatham County is that people are more interested in lining their pockets and feeding the people. And until you are serving the least, the left out, the lonely, and the lost, you're not serving the public, you're serving yourself. And that's why you're always going to have division. It broke my heart to see a lot of the dissension and the discord that goes on in other levels of government in the city and the county, because while y'all over here fighting over who's more important and who's better and all that other kind of stuff, people are dying in the streets. People are going hungry, their pockets going empty, and you fighting over stuff and calling hearings over stuff that don't even matter.
Right.
Like, where's your self-dignity and professionalism?
Yeah.
So we got too much division in politics. Everybody got to be a big guy, and there are too many big guys and little you.
Yep.
So that's what do you see as the biggest problem totally with the way politics works in Savannah? Because see, when you got those guys that follow certain people and then they hate this person and then they all hate this person because that person don't like them.
Oh yeah. I said the other night that politics is just a fancier way, is a fancier, more dignified way to do gang violence.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just a dressed up way of doing gang violence. People don't. If they ain't repping your set, you ain't working with them. You know what I'm saying? And we should be bigger than that. But I guess more than anything, the problem with politics in Savannah is that we're more interested in tearing each other apart than building each other up.
Okay.
We're more interested in, and until we grow a collective consciousness, until we grow a collective consciousness and and reinstill the value that as citizens, we have a civic duty to each other. We've lost our commitment to each other, not just people of color, but just as, citizens. You know, our political system is not going to change. And as long as it's monetized and incentivized by money and favors and kickbacks and power, we will lose focus of the right of what it's supposed to be about.
Okay. We only got a couple of minutes left because we got an 8:30 show coming on. They could be a few minutes late. So what do you think is the biggest misconception of people have about you and the office?
I think the biggest misconception that people have about me is that I am unapproachable or that I am inaccessible. And I think that's because they don't understand my role and they don't understand they don't understand, I guess, me as a person. It's very easy for people to kind of to paint me with a broad brush or to say, I'm overbearing, I'm angry, I mean, like those kinds of things. And I just think that, I would say I'm not complaining about that because, the DA's role might be different from like a city council person. They got to go to people's baby showers and funerals and shake hands and with their constituents and stuff like that because they have an external facing job. But I have an internal facing job. I'm running an entire system, and I shouldn't be the person giving the appearance that I'm cooler with one set of people than another set of people. So people perceive me as being standoffish, but that's what the justice system and the person who represents the justice system have to do. They got to be just. They got to be like, you shouldn't be able to look at who I'm clicked up with and say, oh, she's gonna rule this kind of way, or she's gonna do this in this particular kind of case or for this person. So I think that people, because that's what I have to do for my job, people think I'm, standoffish and that, it's just a lot of misconceptions. I guess it's easier to make snap judgments about people than actually getting to know them. And actually this role kind of makes it hard to get to know people. And so I'm going to try to work on that, in the future going forward. But people also think, that they could just call the DA. The one misconception is people like, oh, you could just call the DA, if you know the DA and you Black and you could just call the DA and get out of jail. It don't work like that. If you got a case and your case is valid, you're going to be prosecuted. Like, it's just, there's a lot of misconceptions, but we just got to live to fight another day and get past those. Stop seeing people, stop measuring people, by their outside and measure them by the contents of their character.
Okay. Your last question, Jamal, before we give her a closing.
No, I'm gonna let you do it because I'm just a guest host. I'm gonna let you go ahead and do it because I don't have no issue about the time. We're gonna go. We're gonna have you back. Hopefully, if we'll know whether it be before or after the primary. Definitely after the primary, so we can get people to understand what you're all about. We had over 2,500 people watching tonight. Hopefully they are all shared. Hopefully they'll tell somebody. They all weren't here in Chatham County, but there was a bunch of people all over watching because we are more than just Chatham County. We bring information to the world. But we're going to give you one big, and you tell us what's your position on, let's pick one. What's your position on marijuana before we go?
My position on marijuana and drugs in general is that drug possession itself and drug addiction is different from drug distribution. My specific problem with marijuana is that it's often used as a pretext by officers to conduct unlawful stops and unlawful searches and seizures. And all they got to do is say, I smell weed, and then they'll be able to search your car. And I find it problematic for that reason. I've had officers themselves admit to me that they can get a search warrant looking for weed, knowing that they're going to find something else. You know what I'm saying? So I think, a lot of times the criminalization of marijuana has been used more as a weapon. I mean, I'm not saying that, hear me, I'm not saying that, I'm not advocating for the fact that marijuana should be legal. I am just saying it should not be criminal, and those are two different things.
Okay.
Except if you use marijuana in the presence of a child or with a child, if you possess marijuana in a school zone where children are, or if your use of marijuana compromises your ability to operate a vehicle safely on the roads, or if you are distributing marijuana and trafficking marijuana in large amounts.
Okay. Now, give us your closing remarks in about 2 minutes before we go, because we got a show that's already getting ready to start.
I can make it shorter than that. We have spoken about tonight. Thanks a lot for the platform. I'm asking for people to vote for me and send me back to the courthouse, because I believe in justice, fairness, and equality. I believe that everybody deserves that, and all people deserve to have their day in court and to be treated with respect and dignity and fairness before the courts and when they're sentenced. I believe that justice is not just a term of art, but it's a goal that we should strive to attain. And anybody who doesn't have that on their agenda or a part of their plan does not deserve your vote. I do. And I have done the work and will and vow to keep continuing to do the work. So please vote for me next week throughout the end of early voting and on May 21st. And I promise to make it worth your while.
Okay, there you have it.
Thank you.
Any closing words, Jamal?
Thank you for having me tonight. I really appreciate y'all.
Vote Shalena Jones for DA. Reelect her as DA. Reelect.
Already did. Y'all see mine right here.
Early vote is going on now.
I already did.
Thank you all.
Vote. Appreciate you, and we'll have you back. And we appreciate you coming on, and we'll give you a call to come back on. We appreciate you even gracing us with your presence.
Thank you so much. Good night.
All right.
Godspeed. Bye.
like that.